I'm hit. We've lost the engines. We're going down. We're going down. How do we get out of this thing? Oh, wait. Welcome back to Factor 85 Labs. Today we are going to talk about the Ontario Knife and Tool Company SPAX. Now SPAX stands for Special Purpose Axe. But what is the purpose of this thing? Now I've seen some videos and some reviews on these. They've been around for many years. Most of the reviews and things that I've seen on this tool are folks out in the woods using it to chop at brush or trees, and even one video somebody using this for hand-to-hand fighting. But you look at this, it's very clearly not made for chopping through trees. So the internet says that this design is called a crash axe. Back in World War II, they were called bomber axes or glider axes, and they're made for cutting out of or into airplanes. Now, I'm not an expert in the area of cutting airplanes open, and to make sure the internet wasn't lying to me, I asked an expert. My brother is a firefighter in the U.S. Air Force. This is a tool meant for rescue purposes. It's small. It's meant to be used in small confined spaces, like inside of a vehicle or an airplane. In fact, an axe very similar to this is required on every commercial aircraft, and you can find axes similar to these on pretty much every aviation safety website. Let's look at why this axe is shaped this way. The shape of this blade is meant to be non-binding. Now what that means is no matter how far you stick the blade into something, you won't get the blade stuck past the edges. If you look at your more traditional tactical axe shape, if the blade were to pass all the way through something, it can get stuck, kind of get wedged into something, especially if you were chopping through metal. So the idea behind this non-binding blade shape is that no matter how far you cut into something, the blade is not going to get wedged in. It will always be able to slice its way out. This blade shape is kind of like a big can opener blade in that way. If you ever used a little can opener on a Swiss Army knife, this is very similar to the way that the can opener blade is shaped. The little spike on the back is for making holes in things, obviously, and the rounded head up here is really great, gives you a lot of leverage for prying the hole through the center. Originally in crash axes, that was just there to reduce weight because these are being carried on airplanes. This hole is kind of a unique shape because it's got a couple other purposes. So it's got a 5-sided opening here, and then some little notches here for a square opening. These are meant to go on the shutoffs or the caps of fire hydrants. This long opening here on the end is meant to grab onto like gas shutoffs. Handle on this is really quite comfortable, even when chopping through some pretty tough stuff and when chopping for quite a while or using it for a lot of different things. I wanted to test this thing. Try it out, see how well it works. Now I didn't have a fire hydrant, so I didn't test out the fire hydrant wrench. I do have a gas line in front of my house, so I made sure that the little gas wrench thing here would fit over the shutoff to my house so that I could turn that on and off if I needed to. As far as the cutting capabilities, well, let's just see how well it will cut open a car. No, I'm just kidding. I didn't have any spare cars or airplanes laying around that at least not that I wanted to cut up. So I decided to test it on a few other things. First thing I tried was some pieces of sheet metal that I found in the barn when we moved in. They're about 1.2 mils thick, so somebody who knows metal can tell me what gauge sheet metal that is. It's steel, pretty heavy. I took a couple swings at that, and I definitely could have cut through it, but it would have taken me a long time, and I didn't feel like spending 3 hours chopping at it just to prove that it could cut through that, when that was much thicker than you probably are going to find on your standard car, or I'd imagine most airplanes. I switched from that and tested it on a few other things. I made a montage of bashing some things with this for you to enjoy, so you can see what this will do. As you can see, this works really well for quite a few different tasks. It works best at the tasks that it was designed for. Chopping through the really thin aluminum, even through that aluminum pan, no problem at all. But it does a lot of other things pretty well too. Even after chopping all that stuff, chopping through metal, the blade, I haven't resharpened it. It's not really that sharp anymore. Down here where we didn't really do much, it's still fairly sharp. Didn't really do much damage. There's not much damage at all to the edge of the blade. This is 1095 steel. It's pretty tough stuff. The most damage was just to the coating on the sides of the blade, and that got pretty beat up here from just cutting through things. Other than that, it's perfectly fine. So what are my thoughts on the Ontario SPAX? Well, this is definitely not a wilderness survival tool. This is not going to replace your axe or your knife. If you take it out into the woods, it's just going to be mediocre. It will cut wood, it will do those things, but not really well. You can kind of get your hand up here to do finer work, but because of the way the blade is shaped, you're really just sliding right up onto the sharp portions of the blade. So you're not going to be able to do some of those tasks that you could do with other tools, or even just a regular axe where you can get your hand right up on the blade. But this would be a really good tool to keep in your car. It's made for going through car doors and things. It would work great for that. It would be a good tool for like an urban survival kit. If you're in an area where chopping through trees isn't your priority, this would be a good tool. You're not going to run into a lot of fire hydrants out in the woods, but fire hydrants and gas lines, you are going to find those in a city or in a more urban area. If you live someplace where there are earthquakes or hurricanes or tornadoes, some type of natural disasters that could happen, this would be a good tool to put in your emergency kit. If you live in an area prone to earthquakes or hurricanes or tornadoes, and you don't already have a tool to shut off your gas lines, you should probably get one. They're pretty cheap on Amazon to just get a little gas shut-off wrench. Go do that right now. You can get these for around $70 to $80 with just the black nylon sheaths. If you get one that has the MOLLE sheath, find them with these sheaths. They're a little more, probably around $100. So this Tomahawk, I did a review on this a couple weeks ago. This thing cost about twice as much as the SPAX. Take a look at this and see my thoughts on this thing. So that is the Ontario SP-16, the SPAX, the Special Purpose Axe. Let me know what you think of this thing. Leave me a comment. Let me know if you've ever used one. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button. Let me know that you enjoyed it. I make a new video just about every week, so if you want to see any of the other ones, you can hit that subscribe button too. I'll see you next time.